Hello, everyone. We're excited to start our webinar in 5 minutes. We're just getting ready.
Are we already live?
We're almost live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Stay tuned. So there's 1 minute before we begin. How do you feel today?
I feel great. How about
Yeah.
you?
Excited about this session. We have a lot to share, and I like the materials that we prepared.
They are pretty cool. Agreed.
Yeah. 1 minute.
Jestem, wiesz, powered by Bigosto.
Hello and welcome, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Bart.
And I'm Anastasia.
We're from Explain Everything, and we're happy to provide you this live webinar on
Whiteboard presentation.
live casting using your whiteboard as a substitute to the physical blackboard or anything else in these times. This is quite important, isn't it?
Exactly, certainly. And yeah, I just wanted to also mention just real quick that we actually use the word live casting, which maybe isn't familiar to all of you, but it's like a combination. It's like live broadcasting. So we call it live casting. So yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Very good. Yeah. So yeah, let's speak first about housekeeping items before we begin, huh?
Sure. Yeah, let's start with a couple of those housekeeping items. So the first thing, of course, is that you can ask questions anytime on the chat. So we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. I think our record is like 70 questions answered in an hour, so that should work out just fine. Second, of course, this session is being recorded, and we can send you the link to the recording after, and we're also going to publish it on YouTube, right?
Exactly. We're live on YouTube as we speak,
Mm-hmm.
and this recording will, oh, that's scary, will remain there.
Oh gosh, forever and ever. Okay.
So I hope we'll do fine.
I think it'll be fine. And if any of the questions for some reason do remain unanswered, you can always send it over to support@explaineverything.com. And we'll get back to you, I don't know, tomorrow or as soon as we can. And of course, you can join the next edition of this webinar, because this is going to be something of like a regular feature of our webinars, isn't it?
Yeah. We cover this topic every like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something we return to as one of the 3 core topics, 3 core areas of use of Explain Everything. But then again, we promise to explain everything today. And if we won't do that, you can, as you mentioned, contact us or wait for next session. But let's use this session to dive into areas that you need. And therefore, please go ahead, interrupt us with your questions. I'll be monitoring our chats on Zoom, but also on YouTube for any incoming questions. So what we have for you today, there's quite a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Why don't you just outline what we're going to be doing more or less so that people know what to expect?
Okay, great. So, and actually I'm using our tool to demonstrate. So you have a product demo at the same time as we speak. So that's cool, I guess. So first of all, we'll tell you how to get Explain Everything, how to use Explain Everything. So that's the first section we're going to cover. And then we'll move to 3 core areas where Explain Everything can be used. We're going to cover 1 that is presenting with a whiteboard. That's 1 of 3. But when speaking about this presentation using whiteboard, we will do a deep dive into scenarios first, and we'll demonstrate how you can present with whiteboard when it is beneficial, how you can use it to the fullest extent. And after that, we will also show you technical aspects of presenting. It's all about technology. Sometimes it fails, so we'll try to prepare you for all of those scenarios that you can expect, so you can adjust your approach to the
to your specific conditions.
Setting, number of participants, solutions that you're going to be used. Not only whiteboard, but perhaps conferencing solutions, right?
Exactly. Also overhead projectors. So yeah, the works.
Types of streaming to those projectors. So we're going to cover that at the end, and then we'll summarize with some purchase options and additional resources we have for you.
Yes, we've prepared a few things for you that you can download and then later use to do all the things that we're going to be showing you how to do right now. So
exactly. So without further ado, let's move to, how to get your Explain Everything if you don't have it already. So Explain Everything is a whiteboard that we call it a mobile first whiteboard. Why we call it mobile first? Because it was designed for devices like this. We're using iPads Pro, but we could be using Chromebooks?
Yeah, we could be using Chromebooks or I don't know, basically any tablets pretty much. So
yeah. And in order to get your whiteboard on your tablet, you might want to use App Store, that's on iOS platform, or Google Play Store, and download your whiteboard as an app. Why it is important? Because it works best if you have it as an app. Of course, it works in a browser. The difference is that if you use Explain Everything on a computer, let's say, a traditional computer with mouse and keyboard, you don't have benefits of the multi-touch interface that is, that tablets are equipped with. And also using in a browser means using always and only online.
Exactly. So if you don't happen to have an internet connection, you won't be able to use Explain Everything. Whereas if you're using a mobile device, a Chrome or Android or iOS, then you'll be able to use it also, you know, if you happen to be on a plane preparing something, or you just don't have your internet connection at that specific moment. So that does make it a lot easier.
On a plane these days.
Okay, never mind. I take that back. Yeah, if your internet goes down and you still want to work,
Right.
then you can do
Exactly.
it without an internet connection. I hope that's better.
Yeah, yeah. So let's say you have your app already, and you want to use Explain Everything. You have kind of like 3 ways of using it, and we'll try to clear the picture a bit for you here. Those 3 ways, we call them use cases or scenarios of using Explain Everything. You can use Explain Everything to present, and that's what we're doing now and what we'll be talking about. But also Explain Everything is a great tool for...
Yes, for whiteboard recording. So if you want to record, I don't know, explainer videos, which are great for like pre-training or something, then Explain Everything does offer an enormous amount of possibilities to do that. And then there's also the collaboration scenario, or sorry, the collaboration use case. And that means, as the name itself suggests, that you have a bunch of people on the same whiteboard at the same time. And this is great for group work. This is great for brainstorming, depending on whether, you know, you're using it at work, or I don't know, if you're a teacher, if you're using it, you know, for your class at school. So yeah, so those are the 3 main scenarios. And the cool thing is that you can combine all of them as well. And that's why they were all like, these 3 circles were all kind of on top of each other at the beginning.
I'll show you that.
Here they are again.
It's like that.
Exactly. So say, for instance, you're doing a whiteboard collaboration with a group of coworkers, say, for example, or students. You can also like broadcast or live cast that collaboration so other people can watch it. You can also, what else? Let's see. You can have people collaborating on a video that you all create together. So these scenarios, these use cases, they kind of all intertwine and come together, and you can really mix and match to do what you need to do with the size group that you happen to have.
There's a lot. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities of using your whiteboard. But today we'll try to make it simple and just focus on this presentation scenario, right? Yeah, and there are other sessions where we explain in depth how collaboration works, how recording works. So if you'd like to see those, you can either check for recordings of those sessions. We have them on our website, and we'll show you the links at the very end of our webinar, or you can just join other session on one of those topics, right?
Exactly. As we said at the beginning, these 3 core use cases, they're let's say that we're just going to be doing like regular recurring webinars, because these are the functionalities that people use the most. And so we're going to keep coming back with these topics just to make sure that we drive the point home and let everybody know how to use them properly.
The plane.
Not on a plane. I really regret saying that. Okay. So maybe I'll tell you a little bit about, because today, as Bart said, we're going to be focusing on the broadcasting or live casting use case. And this one has 3 different scenarios. So the first one is lecturing using existing materials. And this basically means that you don't start with a blank canvas, but you have your slides or your documents, PDFs, whatever, and you have them on your canvas, and then you, I don't know, annotate them as you go along. You highlight important information, maybe doodle a little illustration here and there. So that's lecturing using existing materials.
Let's quickly demonstrate how it's done, because we'll later cover how you connect to the overhead projector, or how you broadcast your whiteboard over conferencing solution like we do now. But once you're like connected, you can broadcast. The way to use this whiteboard in this particular scenario is we call it easiest entry point, because all you need to do is to add materials to your canvas and use tools to highlight and manipulate your content, right? It's so easy. You don't need anything else. So, but in order to bring the materials to your canvas, you use add media function here, and you can choose either images, files, or any other elements. I'll go with files. and I'll check files in my storage of this device. That's files here. If it opens, okay. And I have a PDF, and let's say I want to take just one page of this PDF that I will use during my presentation. So I do that. I'll add this page here, and I can immediately use whiteboard to go through this material, right? Highlight things with this highlighter we have. I can draw on top of this. And by that, it's just super easy to use whiteboard to manipulate your content and draw on top of the scribble and use it basically. Yeah?
And it's sticky too.
It's sticking to, yes, exactly. So all of those things, you can like ungroup those elements. I'll show you this real quick. If you have this page somewhere here, I just ungrouped this. But if you have this page somewhere here, if I write anything on this page and I will change to the hand tool to move this page, my annotation sticks to the page. It's the same with, let's say I will highlight the table, and I mean this table here. If I change my tool to the hand tool, I can use it together, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's really convenient, especially if you're going to be like operating on larger, sets, like if you have multiple slides or multiple pages. And then if you were to move one thing and everything were to come kind of like ungrouped, and you'd have your highlighting, it'd be somewhere, and like the other doodles would be somewhere else, it would be very confusing. But because, it sticks to the document. So no matter where you move that page, your whatever you added to it, your annotations, your highlights will stay exactly where you meant them to be. So that's convenient, definitely.
So what's the second scenario here?
Sure. So we talked about lecturing using existing materials, and now we're going to talk a little bit about storytelling from scratch. And what do we mean by that? It just basically means that you start with a blank canvas, just like you would if you were in a meeting room or a classroom, right? You have your whiteboard, your blackboard, you're holding your chalk or your marker, and you just, draw out, scribble out, doodle out, whatever it is that you want to say.
I will not pretend that I drew this just now, but it's something that was done and explained everything. And this scenario is like, using whiteboard as your digital substitute to the empty blackboard, right? So if you want to start from scratch, you can, but you can also have some material like this axis here. And perhaps I want to explain, that's a math lesson, I want to explain this function. I can really, really quickly use this whiteboard to draw it like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So we also like to call this the whiteboard the digitally supercharged version of the traditional whiteboard. So this means that that you can use it exactly the way you would use a whiteboard or a blackboard in the classroom, but you have the benefit of being able to add virtually any other elements, just as Bart did right now with this graph or I don't know, GIFs or videos, or we'll get into that maybe in a moment. I'll try not to get too carried away, but yeah, like I said, digitally supercharged. So that's pretty cool and definitely useful when you want to like describe an entire process from scratch.
And not to overcomplicate it, when you start to use it, what you need in this scenario, storytelling from scratch, is actually two tools. You need a pen tool to scribble, right? That's the pen tool, and you can choose colors, right? You need hand tool to move those objects if you like, but that's not necessary. On the blackboard, you cannot move anything. So perhaps hand tool is already too much, but let's leave hand tool aside. You might want to use this tool here, lower left corner of my screen. That's a pan and scale tool where you can, with two fingers, zoom out or zoom in to your canvas, and by this add additional space where you can add new elements. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've probably mentioned this before, but we'll mention it again. The canvas is infinite. So say if you have this drawing like we have right here in the middle of the screen, this graph, And then you can just pan out a little bit and put another graph wherever you want to. You could just keep going and going and going, and you would never run out of space for more elements. So
that's scary.
It is a little bit scary. It's like the cosmos. But anyways, and so that's that. And now we're going to move on to the third scenario of the live casting use case, and that's sharing and presenting. So this is kind of where we get into the device or the equipment part of the story, because there's all sorts of different ways that you can share, and maybe Bart will tell you a little more about this.
Well, as a lecturer, I use explain everything, of course, to lecture at a distance, and actually have as an element of this picture recording of one of my lessons as a video, because using this method, you can employ any digital elements, any digital files, assets you have to do the job of sharing your message. And it was a course on entrepreneurship here, so I used different materials, but there was also a live video feed on the canvas that I used to present my lecture. But this can be anything. This can be, you can use any version of documents, files, as I mentioned, movies, that you need to get your point across.
Exactly. So yeah, again, that it does seem pretty infinite, and it is. The possibilities are pretty much infinite, but yeah, that really allows for the easy creation and transmitting of really engaging materials.
Yeah. So moving along, these are the scenarios. Now, the big question is how to put them to work, right?
Exactly. How do we make this work?
And there are basically three ways again. What? Number 3 is haunting us here. But let's go with that. So maybe let's start with the simplest one. Let's say you're in that room or in the classroom and you would want to explain everything using overhead projector, right? And there are many ways you can connect your device to the projector. It's rarely now these days when one would want to connect a device with a cable. Of course, it's possible. Most of the times, however, those devices are used. Apple TV, if you're using tablet, Apple product like iPad, or Chromecast if you're using Chromebook, or any Android tablet. Now, the options, the way to broadcast using those devices is very similar. However, the controls on both systems are different. So when you connect your iPad using Apple TV, you usually start screen sharing if you swipe from the top right corner to the center of the screen. This panel will appear, and I'm already connected here using this dock connector, but that's exactly the place where you should be looking for your Apple TV in order to broadcast your screen. With Chromecast, if your Android device, I have a picture right here, it depends on the device where you find the cast option. And with this device, it was lower right corner of the screen where this option to cast your screen was available. So that might be a bit complicated because you need to refer to instruction or any manual you have for your device and your operating system to find exact location of where to trigger on broadcast of your tablet screen through the Chromecast to your overhead projector.
Yeah, every device is going to be a little bit different. Of course, the Apple ecosystem is much more uniform, but I think we all recognize that broadcast button. So once you find that, that's just the one that you got to use.
Exactly. So two important informations. When you're broadcasting your screen, you're usually mirroring your screen. That means all tools are visible both for you and for those that are watching your broadcast, right? So that means I can see my tools, but you can see them as well. There is an option to simplify your view, not to intimidate everyone with those buttons, right, on the left side. If you go here, we have those workspaces. You can choose presenter workspace. And by this, you'll simplify interface to just hand tool, draw tool, eraser, laser pointer, and zoom tool.
And I think that for most presentations, that should be enough, right?
Yeah.
To kind of get your point across.
Exactly. You don't have creation tools. We have many creation tools hidden in this full view, but these tools should be okay for you to present. There is one additional option on iOS. Sorry, I wasn't meant to do that. On iOS, you have option to use, we call this second screen. Once you connect to your Apple TV, in the top of your screen, there will be a notification popping up somewhere here. Would you like to use a mirror or a second screen? And if you choose second screen, this will mean that your external screen will show your whiteboard without any tools. So this is super handy, but you need to react seeing this notification popping up here, around here. If you won't do that and you will, let's say, choose mirror, you can always go to settings, top right corner. If you go to settings, you can change that exactly here, right? That's the external screen mode. So you can change this mode in the settings.
Yeah, I think maybe, you know, sometimes if you really want your audience to concentrate, your students to concentrate, then probably the less things they have distracting them, the better. So yeah, if you can hide that, that could be like really useful, I think.
Exactly, yeah. So these are your options if you'd like to screen broadcast to a class or a group when you are together. But since these days it's usually not the case, let's move to how to broadcast using conferencing solutions like Zoom we're using now, right?
Exactly.
Or YouTube. So that's option number 2. And the way it works is that Explain Everything works together with conferencing solution of your choice. It might be Microsoft Teams, it might be Google Meet, it might be anything like WebEx or any other solution. Explain Everything shares screen through the solution to participants of the session. So you need to first start your session and then broadcast your screen. And the way you broadcast your screen in order to show your whiteboard and use it as we do now is that you need to tap this button, that's the share and export. And you have this third option, broadcast here, right? And using this third option, you can trigger on screen broadcasting too. Oh, and I have many of those solutions. I have BlueJeans, Meet, Microsoft Teams. That's a good
It's
list.
It's pretty versatile.
What else? Zoom, Join Me. Yeah, Skype even. And once you tap broadcast, I won't do that because I'm already broadcasting to you. But you see what I'm getting. Every solution, once you're on a session on one of those solutions, triggering broadcast is just the same. You go here, you select the solution, you start broadcast, and anyone can see your screen.
Exactly. It's pretty much the same story, regardless of which tool you're using. And yeah, this icon here makes it really, I think, easy. That's generally the share icon, as I think you mentioned, Bart, and that just makes it really easy. There are 3 different options here. We will be doing, of course, webinars on the other ones, but today we're concentrating on broadcasts. So it's just there, you tap it, and you're home. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Few things to keep in mind. And I have screens here to explain you how it looks like. So for example, here, this is a screen where sharing happens on a computer. So Explain Everything is used on a computer. And how you trigger sharing on a computer is just the same how you share, let's say, any window of your choice in your operating system. So Explain Everything runs in the browser, as you see here. So you need to share this browser, right? And that's how you trigger sharing your whiteboard to the participants. So it might be this situation where you have your conferencing solution on the left side and your whiteboard on the right side. You tap share, and in Zoom, with Zoom, this is a button that looks like this, right? It might look different in other solutions, but you tap it, select your window, and you share. So that's the only difference when you're using computer instead of tablet. Okay. So that's how you use conferencing solution. There are a few things to keep in mind though, and we have this listed here. So when you're broadcasting, it's good to think about broadcasting over conferencing solution if your audience is a big one. Let's say like 100 people, 20 something, right? Because there are limited options to connect them to your canvas. We'll show you the third way to broadcast your screen by asking others to join you on the canvas. And we call this collaboration, right?
Yeah, but that's like a max of what, like 20 people? Otherwise
Exactly.
it gets super chaotic. So
Yeah,
100 people, yeah, I don't see it happening.
But if you have like a large crowd to listen to, you just use conferencing solution and you broadcast just the way we mentioned and demonstrated. You can also mix those two scenarios. So using your whiteboard with overhead projector or screen in the classroom and join remote participants. You can do this. Absolutely. There's no problem with that. You're mirroring your screen, your iPad or Chromebook screen in the classroom, but you're also broadcasting your screen to the participants. Somewhere out there.
I think that hybrid learning is going to be, one of the most important buzzwords that we're going to be talking about for a while now, just because of the current situation. So yeah, Explain Everything does allow you to do that, to teach both students that are in the classroom and the ones that are at home at the same time. So convenient.
It is really convenient, and we see a lot of users using Explain Everything that way. The other thing to mention about this scenario is that because those conferencing solutions they look almost the same, but they're very different in terms of like how they work. It's always good to check the frame rate and the resolution that your participants will end up with. So try to set your demo environment and connect to the session as a participant, see if the resolution is okay. If not, you need to fiddle with those settings. And it's not something we can cover here because obviously there are many, many ways of setting it right. But we have very good results on any of those solutions that we mentioned. That is Skype, WebEx, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, Google Meet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, live and learn, depending on the devices that you use or the, software that you use, things will look a little different. You might have to, as Bart said, fiddle with the settings a little bit, but it really is worth it because once you get it right, you hit that, that sweet spot, then, the frame rate, if it's good, then people will be able to see you, drawing as if you were just standing right in front of them and drawing at the blackboard or the whiteboard. And that's the experience that we're going for.
And now on to the third option that you can think of when sharing your whiteboard. And that's a bit of, we call this collaborative whiteboard, just a bit, because we're here going to speak about collaboration with participants that are more of a viewers than active participants, right? So that's the situation where you trigger on your whiteboard in a collaborative mode so others can connect directly to your whiteboard. So no conferencing solution is needed.
Yeah, that's the best part, is that you don't have to have a conferencing solution running in the background for this to work. All you need is Explain Everything, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and in order to do that, you just need to use invite button that is somewhere up here in the top right of your screen. Now my invite button changed to the project code because I already have this session as a collaboration where both of us are here. I can show you a list of collaborators, and you might want to like doodle something on the screen just to show that it's both of us on
both of us are here at the same time.
So that's me.
That's me.
That's Anastasia. So you see, this is a method of asking others to join by the code that is shared here. This is a code that can be used by other participants. You can just share this code using any message, like any method, like you can email this, you can send it as a message, you can use any system to share the code or the link, because the code works as a link if you share it like this, or you can use this last segment of the link as a code on explaineverything.com website. Okay. So that's here. You go to the website, you use the code to connect, and by this, you join the canvas that is provided by the host.
I think here it's important to mention also who can join, because a lot of times people ask us, do you have to have, explain everything to be able to join? And the answer is no, you don't actually have to be, like a paying subscriber or whatever to join this canvas. You can just follow the link that's been provided to you by your, teacher. And get on the Explain Everything website, enter that code, and you are in the project as well. You're a participant. There's a couple caveats here.
Well, you need to be present on the
that's
board,
the thing.
Right?
That's what I was about to say, is that the person who owns the project and who's running it needs to be there. Otherwise, people without subscriptions won't be able to get in. But as long as the person who created the project is there, then people without subscriptions can use it as well. So that's definitely convenient.
They are free to join, and they will be listed here on this list as guests.
Yes, caveat number 2, they don't get names, right? They're just listed as guests.
Until they register, we don't know their names. So
exactly.
They're just, anonymous. The other thing to remember is that the scenario that you should choose for this is presentation here, right? So if you choose presentation, no one will have tools that you see on the left side of my screen. They will just be able to see what you're sharing and perhaps use Zoom tool to just expand their perspective if they like. Yeah,
you can't see my screen right now, but when Bart clicked that, my tools all disappeared. So that means that it would be presentation mode, because he would be talking, he would be presenting, and I would be following. And if somewhere along the way he decided that he wanted my input, then he, as the project creator, the project owner, can give me access to those tools, and then I can add my feedback to the canvas as well.
And that's exactly what we cover on the webinar about collaboration. So we invite you to join that one, where we expand on this topic and show you scenarios how you can cooperate with others and have group projects, cooperative learning or group thinking, brainstorming.
Yeah, because collaboration is kind of, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, one of our key use cases. So we're really just giving you a little taste of what that could look like here. But for the full, to find out all of the possibilities and all of the ways to do that, you'd have to join us for our webinar dedicated to collaboration.
Okay, yeah. And also, here is an example of how collaboratively different devices are connected together. So here's a device that started the session. I'll just play this movie for you to show you what's the experience like if you have your participants joining sessions. So I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a document. And as we mentioned, this is not a screen sharing anymore. It's a process of sharing experience of the whiteboard that you can control, giving access when you need to others to participate or explore materials that you're providing to the canvas. So you see here, I added those documents and they are loaded pretty quickly to other devices. I can manipulate them, and everything I do on my screen is reflected in this browser here, in this app here. This is also, I guess, a browser version. Yes, this is a browser version. That's Microsoft Surface tablet, also in a browser.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a lot of different devices. So that's the Chromebook, right? Then there's the Microsoft Surface. We have the MacBook Pro. We have an iPad. And what's that last one? Is that an older iPad? What's the last one?
Yeah, it's a bit older iPad.
Okay, so 5 different devices. So as you can see, you can see how this works. And as Bart said, it happens, pretty much in real time. And whoever is on the canvas can follow what's happening, can contribute if the owner lets them. So
yeah. The only limitation you can find here is that you can transmit your audio, but there is no video feed. I guess the convergence between conferencing solutions and whiteboards will happen quickly, but it's just happening as of now. So if you want to have, definitely if you need to have your video feed, go with the scenario number 2 here, that is using whiteboard with your conferencing solution tool, because then you can have this situation where you're both visible. it's both you and your whiteboard.
Yeah, generally being up close and personal, I think, has become like more important to us this year than ever before. So if you want your students to be able to see you in that live kind of selfie camera that we can see here right now, then definitely the second scenario is best. But if you want to get up close and personal in the way that you can all, you know, be working on the same project together in real time, then scenario 3 is going to be best. So you really have to figure out, you know, what your priorities are, what you want to achieve, and pick the scenario that's best for you.
So we have 2 questions in YouTube. First one, anyone able to tell me how you have just the 2 windows visible, one screen share and presenter camera on different device and no viewer screens? Screen share and presenter camera on a different device. So I guess, you know, what you need to do, because we just covered those options here, you can either decide to present your screen without showing your tools using this, we call this external screen mode, right? And when you connect to the overhead projector, you have an option to trigger mirror or second screen. And on second screen, you don't have those tools visible for the participants. The other option is that you can use this collaborative way of connecting participants to the board. And then you are to decide if you want them to see the tools, if you want them to have the tools, or you want to keep them for yourself and present them only with contents. So that's one thing. The second question is, how do we create what we're seeing now? Zoom call with just 2 participants, live streams. How do we create what we're seeing now? Okay, so I'll explain to you what's the setting that we're using for this webinar. It's, I hope we can easily explain this, but we are here to explain everything, so we should, okay? So it's both me and Anastasia here using tablets, and we're using 2 tablets that are in principle connected through Explain Everything Drive. So that's collaboration. That's one thing. We are both on this canvas, okay? Now, I'm using my canvas. Let's say that's me. I'm using my device with a computer. So I have a cable here and I have laptop connected to YouTube and Zoom for this session. And what I do is that I broadcast my screen here to the window on my computer using QuickTime. So this is a bit more complicated, more elaborate setup, but it's necessary for such situations where it's us on external camera and we need to have a control over entire experience. So it's just a bit more complicated, more components, because I need to use a computer. And in any of those 3 scenarios, we never mentioned using computer.
We didn't need another device.
But here we do. So that's what we do. So QuickTime is used to make my iPad screen visible on a computer. So within Zoom, and because I have Zoom here, right, I can share just this window. So Zoom sees Explain Everything on a computer because it can transmit what is inside my QuickTime window, and the QuickTime window sees what is on my iPad because I use QuickTime to transmit this. I hope that's clear enough.
that was a mouthful, but remember what we said like at the beginning of this webinar, right? That you have these different use cases, and they can kind of intertwine, and they can, you know, basically layer on, and you can use different combinations of the 3. So that is what we're doing right now, and it's actually great that that someone asked that question. So thank you, because that kind of allows us to demonstrate what we already kind of mentioned in theory, we could say, at the beginning of this webinar. So.
And it's good that you mentioned that we're intertwining those 2 scenarios, because now I can show you what we mean exactly, right? So I hope it's not too much for this very situation, but Presentation, we're using those iPads to present, right? And collaboration is here, right? So we do have presentation that we share with you, but we also do collaboration. So we're actually somewhere with this use case, we're somewhere in the middle between collaboration and presentation. More of a presentation, but with a bit of collaboration, I would say.
Exactly. I did add that little smiley face. So there is a little bit of collaboration going on. But yeah, so you can see the collaboration, of course, can function independently, right? As can the presentation. But sometimes you need to combine two different scenarios to really, do what you want to do. And that's what we had to do today. So thank you for that lengthy and detailed answer, Bart. I don't think anyone was expecting that. Good job.
Doing my best. And yeah, I hope it was clear enough. So why don't we wrap up? Let's wait for more questions. If there are any, we're happy to take them. Why don't we wrap up with the follow-up materials, resources that we have, huh?
Sure. If you could just, scroll over there. Oh, you are, okay.
So we have pricing for educators listed here. And because Explain Everything is used, it's the best scenario where it's used by groups. You can look for discounts for groups and schools. We do have on our website, and you can contact us for discounts for your groups because it's a really good offer when you think about group setting, collaborative use. We can show you more about that on a session about collaboration.
Yeah, and it's probably also worth bringing up here that we recently started doing dedicated webinars for schools. So I don't know if you have a school that you'd like, the entire school to be using Explain Everything, then we'd be happy to get you guys together and just show you how the most important functionalities work.
Exactly. And if you're looking for resources, how to use Explain Everything that you would want to, use in your own practice and learn from, you can go to YouTube. And on our channel, you have different playlists. There's essential course that we're now updating.
Yeah, actually, that's my project. I've been working on this for, I don't know, the past few weeks. And pretty soon, also, I don't know, within a week or two or maybe 3, we will have a new Explain Everything Essentials playlist for you. And this playlist is going to walk, we could say like beginner users pretty much through the most basic functionalities and tools and also how to share. So that's definitely coming up. It's in the works and expect to see it within the next couple of weeks.
And also, when thinking about sharing your whiteboard over conferencing solutions and in this collaborative mode, we do have a playlist where we walk through the scenario, and that's called Better Online Meetings here. So we invite you to look into that. On our blog, we do have plenty of materials that also cover topic of sharing your screen and collaboration. So if you want to check those resources, go to explaineverything/blog. There's also a link in the headers. There's a menu that can lead you to this blog section of our website. But I guess a good resource to use is Help Center, right?
Definitely the Help Center has, I don't even know how many at this point, just hundreds of articles that walk you through the processes that we talked about and many more step by step. And they also go through the differences between platforms. So depending on which device you use, that could also be incredibly helpful. And we also have, if you could just zoom in a little, Bart, we have some PDFs for you guys that are also very, very aesthetically pleasing. And they'll also help to walk you through the specific steps of doing what we did here today. And I think that they should make everything pretty easy and straightforward, even if you've never done this before.
So we can share with you this one, Livecasting with your whiteboard. And it took us 45 minutes to explain this, and here you have this all of this in 3 steps on one page. I'm kidding, of course. There is a high level explanation that we can provide you on this PDF, and after participating in this webinar, we will also share with you link to the recording, right? To the recording of this webinar for future reference.
Sure. Yeah, all of our webinars, as I mentioned, I think at the beginning, are also available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and check those out, then we definitely invite you to do so.
So we're looking forward to hear from you. And yeah, we hope that you'll have a good experience teaching, sharing at a distance with Explain Everything using one of those scenarios that we covered today. What is your favorite, by the way, before we close?
My favorite use case or
favorite way of sharing your whiteboard screen? What do they use? What do they use the most?
You know, I actually like the third one, because the third one means that you really only need to use one tool, right? Like Explain Everything, and you don't need anything else. And then also it gives people, it makes it really easy for people to contribute. So that kind of covers like the different things that I like to touch on when I'm teaching. Like there's this moment when I'm talking and everybody sits there and listens, right? And then there's the moment when I want to actually hear, people's feedback, their thoughts, etc. So yeah, the third is my favorite.
So that's collaboration. So if you'd like to get a closer look into what Anastasia likes, this collaborative scenario, you can go ahead and sign up for this webinar here. That's recurring webinar on collaborative whiteboarding. You can reserve your spot. All you need to do is to go to explainrevealing.com/webinars and look for this very session.
Exactly. So if you try to, do what we did here today, and you have any extra questions or whatever, then definitely join us for this, for our recurring webinars. And yeah, we'll answer your questions then.
It was great to meet you today, and we hope we at least explain most what you needed, if not everything.
You certainly did.
We certainly tried. So good luck, and hope to see you in the future.
See you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.